Ryan's been trained well.
Absolutely. So good morning, everyone. We're going to give it a quick moment because I see that you're coming into the Zoom room. So we're going to give, again, a quick moment so you can get into the room.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. I think we have just a few more people coming in, but just wanted to thank everyone for joining us this morning for our program, How Will Tourism and Travel Change in the New Norm? To begin, there are a few acknowledgements that we'd like to address this morning. First, we have a few board members that are joining us. They play a critical role in moving our initiatives forward on a daily basis. So we just want to thank them for all that they do and for joining us for today's program. We also want to thank our sponsors. Without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to put on programs such as the one that we have today. So we truly appreciate all that they do as far as supporting us and our initiatives as well. So our sponsors today are longisland.com. We have All Star Limousine Service Ltd. And we also have People's Alliance Federal Credit Union. And to learn a little bit more about what People's Alliance Federal Credit Union does, we have a short video that we'd like to play.
Times have changed, and everyone at People's Alliance Federal Credit Union is here to help you adjust to that change. No matter how big or small your problem may be, we can help you, your loved ones, and coworkers get back on their feet with all their financial needs. Contact us at www.pafcu.org. People's Alliance Federal Credit Union. We put people first, even in our name. Times have changed.
Wonderful. So with that, I'd like to introduce Carol Allen, CEO and President of People's Alliance Federal Credit Union, to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. We're excited to be a sponsor for this morning's event. As a board member of the HIA-LI, I couldn't be prouder of this organization, especially during the last few months. The staff has been working fearlessly, and we are very lucky to have Terry at the helm. We have been a member of the HIA-LI for over 25 years, and we really value our relationship. This has been a challenging time, and I'm happy to say that People's Alliance Federal Credit Union has continued to assist our membership. We have been working directly with those affected by the pandemic through loan deferments, as well as other loan programs. As the world has evolved to more of a virtual presence, we are also offering virtual seminars. On August 6th, we are hosting a no-cost virtual homebuyer seminar for our membership. This is just one example of the many benefits that we provide to our membership, and we would be thrilled to assist you and your employees. For more information, you can please contact Lisa Mitnick or Angela Perrone. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak with you, and I look forward to hearing from our panelists this morning.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carol. And again, thank you for our partnership. It's truly valued. And again, for the sponsorship for today's program. Next, we'd like to just acknowledge, so as many of you know, we've been working, the HIA-LI has been working very closely with the state and county as we've kind of gone through this pandemic and begin to reopen through the phases. So this morning, we'd like to share a brief video of a new initiative called Mask Up America through Governor Cuomo's initiative. We're going to share that briefly.
There's a way to stop the spread of coronavirus. There's a way to protect others. There's a way to keep your family safe. New York figured it out. The answer weighs less than an ounce. It's not a heavy lift. Be New York tough. Mask Up America.
No, I didn't quite know if the audio or the video showed, but but the audio was there. So let's see. Oh, maybe we're giving it a try again. Okay. All right. Oh,
Nope, keep going.
all right. So, so as you heard, I think some of the audio behind it. So, Mask Up America, again, it's an initiative that Governor Cuomo is putting out there. Again, just trying to kind of spread the word as far as making sure that you're wearing a mask, staying safe, and really trying to get us through this pandemic. So, and we're happy to be able to share that with you all today. So, but with that, I'd like to now introduce Terry-Elise Maselli, President and CEO of the HIA-LI, who will be helping moderate today's program.
So good morning, everyone, and welcome. Hope you're staying safe, healthy, and Long Island strong. I'm sure you are. We are all strong. Want to say to you again that the HIA-LI is along with you fighting this fight. Many of you know that we've been disseminating some really critical information as it relates to the state, certainly the county and the COVID business task force as well. And we're with you. I mean, you know, as you look at this, and we put a lot of that information up on our coronavirus section, I can't tell you how proud I am of our membership. And many of you have repurposed yourselves and really taken a look at repurposing in terms of providing personal protection equipment. And we thank you for that, because it has gone to hospitals and police departments and many places that are needed and are in critical need of it. So we appreciate that. Before we begin, you're going to see on the bottom of your screen a button that says Q&A. So as we go, if you have any questions, please just type them in there and we'll pick them up and ask the panelists. And, you know, as you have begun to hit play from pause and really look at your recovery and we are opened, I want to reiterate again what you heard in that governor's message. Please wear your face masks. Please, please, please wear face masks. I mean, we're trying to contain this, number one. You know, number two, we're going to talk about today the travel and tourism industry. And tourism alone gives about 6.1 billion, right? Kristen, you'll hear a little bit about it in a second. In total spending, and about 100,000 local jobs, right? People are employed through tourism and certainly travel. So this is a very important topic for us, particularly in the summer. I said to Brian this morning, we were on early, I said, going to Virginia Beach this weekend with my family, and guess what? Got a call yesterday, the hotel canceled, and now Virginia's on the travel ban, right? So this is what's happening.
Now you're going to the Hyatt.
Now we're going to the Hyatt out near the aquarium. So this is what people are living through right now. This is a personal example of that. So we're very lucky this morning to have with us the Town of Islip Supervisor Angie Carpenter, the Commissioner of the Airport, Shelley LaRose. Welcome, Shelley. The Director of Discover Long Island and a huge advocate for tourism, Kristen Jarnigan, and the Director of the Long Island Aquarium, Brian DeLuca, with us. So before we begin, just very quickly, we're going to show our last video this morning, and that has been supplied from the Discover Long Island. So if you can play that video, that'd be great. So thank you. And Kristen, you always do such a great job with any video, but it's just so uplifting. So thank you. So we're going to open this morning and ask actually the Town of Islip Supervisor, Angie Carpenter, to make some opening remarks. And Angie, please talk to us about what you've seen the town go through, and certainly some of the phenomenal things that I think that you always do, but are particularly doing through this COVID at the Town of Islip.
Well, certainly, like every other business, every other, entity across the island, the state, the country, it's been a really, really challenging time. And there was no playbook for how do you handle a pandemic. We do drills and mock tabletop drills for hurricanes and all kinds of emergencies and disasters, but never a pandemic. So it's kind of like, learn as you go, so to speak. From the very beginning, when we were aware of what was going on, we were on daily calls with the county, twice a week with the governor's office. And in fact, we are still having those calls with the governor's office weekly to update us on the guidelines, where we are, watching that line go up and with the grace of God, flattening it and seeing it come down. And now I think we all have to be committed to keeping it down. Everybody is anxious to get back to what they see their life being, before and wanting to be normal again. But unfortunately, I think we're going to be experiencing a new normal. Kristen, that video was absolutely beautiful. And the one thing that got me is that we're going to hug tighter. Things like that we took so for granted in our lives, being able to be with people, to hug someone, I'm Italian, so, we do a lot of touchy-feely hugging. So it's tough. It really, really is tough. But I do believe that we are going to come through this stronger and better. And I keep saying, my hope is that we're going to come through this kinder, appreciate, who we are and who people are and what they are. And we're different, but we're the same, and just be there for one another. I hope we're going to come through this a kinder, gentler society. I think social media brought us to a place that wasn't so terribly good with all of its benefits, and I do believe it helped us get through this. Can you imagine if we were going through this without Facebook and being able to Zoom and keep connected that way? It would have really been devastating. So, the glass is always half full, as far as what happened at the town, one of the first things that when I look back, we immediately closed our senior centers, hearing that the senior population was more vulnerable. We had like 1 day's notice for them. It was devastating for many of our seniors. For them, coming to our centers every day, having lunch, being with their friends, was their life. So our staff has kept in touch with them. We call them. We had a very popular, I talked about this the other day, we had a very popular exercise program with this young man, Nick, a trainer, and the ladies especially loved him. So I asked him if he would do a video. So we've sent them the video. It's on our, public access channel so that they can keep exercising and keep connecting with Nick. And he does these little shout outs to them to make them feel connected. Our staff calls the seniors as much as they possibly can to make them feel like they haven't been forgotten. And little by little, we're going to try bringing them back, doing some outdoor kind of gatherings, socially distanced, etc. But right now, the biggest challenge is having people realize that, yes, we've come through hopefully the worst of it, and it's up to us if we stay that way and don't revisit the horrible place that we were. And, the mask video, when the governor's office told us about it, we've got it up on all our social media platforms, our public access channel. The more we can keep hammering that message home, the better we're all going to be. And certainly, as it's impacted lives, it's impacted the tourism industry. I was just thinking, remember we did this last year. We were sitting there next to one another, greeting one another, hugging one another at the airport, and now we're doing it virtually. It is the new norm, but we are going to get through it, and the industry will get through it. And, you know, there's still, for us, as a place, unlike other parts of the country, this is a place people can come to, can enjoy. You're going to see a lot more stay vacations. You know, the car manufacturers are pumping out those commercials. Let's get back to, you know, road trips, you know. So I do believe that, you know, little by little, we will come back. It is a challenge for us at the airport, but fortunately, you know, with Shelley, and she'll get into the details of it, but we never skipped a beat. You know, our airport was open throughout this. You know, airlines did cut back, obviously, but we're still operating, and we've introduced all kinds of innovative, protective things for our traveling public, sanitizing systems, et cetera, to make them feel safe. They've always loved coming to our airport, but now they can feel safe coming to our airport. And I think that you're going to see more and more people are going to feel safer coming to a smaller airport where there aren't long lines, where you know, they're not worried about people bumping up against one another. People are still scared, and you see that in the restaurant industry. You know, people are reticent to go back to sitting to indoor dining. You know, thank God we've got the outdoor. Our planning department kicked into high gear, and we pumped out those outdoor dining permits. We didn't charge. We turned them over in 24 hours to enable them to keep operating as best they could. And that's, you know, we're here to help. You know, that's our mantra here at the town. We want to keep our businesses moving forward, because if our businesses aren't thriving, our residents don't have the same quality of life that they have a right to expect. So I thank you, Terry, and the HIA for all you do and the opportunity to be here, and welcome everyone, and look forward to some questions and hearing from Shelley. So
Yeah,
thank you, and Kristen, obviously.
yeah. And so thank you, Supervisor. You know, I have to say, like, in this moment of darkness, all of you actually have been great examples of how to pivot very quickly and be proactive. And I think where that comes from is you've always been those types of people, right? So when you jump into these very unprecedented times, when you're right, we do not know what's coming next, you just kind of go into what you do best. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I absolutely agree that in this darkness, there is opportunity. We've seen it all over from our members who have been able to do the same thing and pivot. So I'm going to turn it over to Shelley for a second to talk about, first of all, how you've seen this COVID obviously impact the airport. That's a given. And what you've seen, what you're doing differently, because I think it's remarkable, by the way, that you've stayed open through this whole thing. Let me just say congratulations to that. So Shelley, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it. And good morning, everybody on the line. We're in such great company with, as the supervisor had said, and Terry, you reiterated, positive, optimistic folks that really want to see a better community, a better business and economic opportunities as we get through this process. I will tell you, the airport obviously is essential to Long Island. It's essential to businesses, but most importantly, during the crisis, it was essential to get additional healthcare workers here. So we saw a lot of people coming from Ohio and different parts of the country who were volunteering to help at places like Stony Brook Hospital. So it was important to us to be open and to be available and work with our carriers and also our 35 other businesses that are on the airport, as well as making sure that our employees felt safe and comfortable coming to work. So prior to COVID, we were hosting 1.6 million passengers annually. We have 3 air carriers, American Airlines, Southwest, and Frontier Airlines. We had 21 average daily departures in January and February of this year. So we were really doing super, and I think a lot of people would share that sentiment in terms of what their business had been doing early this year. Of course, March 13th came around, and all of a sudden we were faced with something that we thought was never going to clearly affect the United States like it did. It was, I think, a surprise. Sometimes we live in a little bit of a bubble. But what happened to the airline industry is it immediately right-sized itself for demand. So reducing the number of flights and trying to provide service where it was needed. And they did that quite well. They've done it before. It's not uncommon to the industry at all to adjust in that way. What I will tell you is that there are other airports across the country who either lost air carriers from their airport or they lost service. And Long Island MacArthur Airport was not one of those. What we did see early on is that smaller airports, regional airports, were actually recovering faster than the larger air carrier airports a lot, because of what the supervisor said. People feel more confident coming into a smaller airport, that they know what to expect. It's not as crowded. There are a lot of benefits to it. There's not as many touch surfaces to it. So immediately we started looking for ways to improve employee confidence as well as consumer confidence. We were the first airport in the world to implement an air purification system. It's a Casper system that we installed throughout the terminal, at gates, at the ticket counters, at the baggage claim, at the TSA checkpoints. It's a purification system that kills 99.9% of airborne and surface pathogens. So we were the first to implement that. It was great. I think it really helped our employees. They were thrilled when we would walk through the terminal and talk about that. It's coming, it's going to be here soon. We also installed Silver Defender, which is a product that it's basically a tape that has a silver product in it. That's a natural sort of cleansing agent, and high touch surfaces. So on bathroom faucets, on doors that you push, we installed that. We have obviously basic stuff, increase the number of cleaning, that we did to certain areas and things like that. We installed PPE machines so people could purchase masks and hand sanitizers, things of that nature. We also put mandatory signs up that require face coverings when you come into the airport, based on the governor's orders. People were very, very compliant. Initially it was a little bit hard to get our employees to separate from each other because they're so used to standing less than 6 feet and talking to each other. But once we were able to overcome that and encourage people to do the right thing, we said, it's a broomstick, stand, broomstick length away from each other. So honestly, the things that we have implemented have worked so well. We have not had any employee reported COVID cases since early April. So do face coverings work, Terry? Like you said, wear them. The governor's got his new message out. It's important to do that. It's important to keep the social distancing. It does work. A few travel tips just briefly. Oh, I will tell you real quickly, from an air service perspective, our goal in May was 3 average daily departures, and our carriers, we talked to them often and we said, hey, we need to meet these goals. We need to continue to meet these goals. So they were able to meet our goal in May. June to October, we're looking at somewhere between 10 to 12 average daily departures. That's our goal. We were doing very, very well right up until the mandatory quarantine orders were issued. And right now, as you all know, there are 33 states on that list. And we encourage people to take a look if you're traveling. Understand what the travel restrictions are in the state that you're going to, understand what they are in the state in which you live in and will be returning to. We have information posted online and we update those, the list of states. The Department of Health forms are online as well, and we have Department of Health individuals who greet the flights as they come in from the quarantine states and are collecting those. I have heard stories from individuals who have been fined because they did not self-quarantine after driving to another state. So it's not, you're not excluded if you don't fly. There's still driving, rail, other forms of transportation, unless you are an essential employee. Very, very important to make sure that you understand what is expected of you when you return home.
So Shelley, can I ask real quick? So what is that? Let me tell you what we're hearing from our members from a business travel standpoint, as you can imagine. I mean, that pretty much has stopped, at least for the moment, and that will be a new norm, I'm sure, as well, because so much is being done via Zoom. I think that's probably also another lesson that comes out of this, that although, as Angie said, and I feel the same way, we can't hug, we can't shake hands, we can't do any of that, there is a medium here that can be used and used probably more successfully. But what does that look like when I get on a plane today? How does it look different? What are they doing inside the plane, and what does that look like?
So thank you for that question. There's a lot of additional cleaning that is going on inside the aircraft. The crews and everything like that are taking extra precautions because they are obviously working in that environment and have been for some time. Every single airline has a different policy. So you might have one airline that's taking temperatures before you actually board the aircraft. You might have another airline who's actually, when you respond to the questions, are you carrying any weapons? Is anything in your bag? They're asking for health verification. Have you had a temperature? Have you gone to one of the quarantine states? Et cetera. So you're finding different things throughout the industry, but and the other piece of it is that some airlines have agreed to block middle seats, but not all airlines. So check with your carrier if you are concerned about that, because they do have a variety of different policies. All are, with the mindset that they're increasing the safety of the traveling public. So, so they are doing some different things. What I would say to folks who want to travel is that they have great cancellation and change policies. So they're not as stringent as they were prior to COVID. They're very flexible. And you're talking about the business traveler. We have seen a decrease in obviously business travel here at the airport, but our leisure travel came back very strong in late June, early July. Obviously prior to the quarantine orders, we were getting 70% load factors. So obviously, and people are traveling with young children and their families. So not only was it folks who needed to travel or had to travel for essential reasons, we did see some people who were enjoying that opportunity to see family and friends and relatives.
Yeah, and so, the message I take from both what the supervisor said as well as Shelley is, we need to act responsibly, right? All of us. And I'm going to go back to the supervisor, we need to be kind, right? And understand that we are responsible for not allowing this to spread, and we've done some phenomenal things up until this point. So it sounds like, I'll be back to you, Shelley, obviously, but it's like you're doing some—
Terry, may I just ask something of Shelley? Did I hear that Southwest has committed to keeping that middle seat vacant through September?
Yes, that they just recently published that. So Southwest is one of the carriers that do that. Frontier is a carrier that actually takes temperature checks prior to getting on the aircraft.
So our two of our three major carriers are really going above and beyond, and we probably should get that message out a little bit more too, to encourage people.
Absolutely. And we have, I see a few questions, but a comment. So we have some travel agents that are attending, and they want us to remind everybody, and they're members of the HIA-LI, that you can go through a travel agent, and obviously they'll talk about those tips and safety precautions as well. So I would encourage that, just for us to help people do business together. Absolutely. So Kristen, I'm going to go to you for a second. You've done a phenomenal job, and you are an advocate for tourism, obviously. So talk to us about what you've seen in this industry right now, and how you've pivoted in some of the things that Discover Long Island. And I have to say, I'm a proud board member as well. So I just want to get that in there. You're just doing a great job. Thank
you so much. And thanks to everybody. And I'm so glad the video resonates. I still get emotional every time I see it. And it's, and that's the point, is we want to remind people about what a great place we live. And, sometimes we all need that gut check that, we take things for granted, and life is fragile. So I think hopefully that's a silver lining, is we'll all appreciate everything on Long Island more, and our families more. But actually I have 3 board members. Thank you, Terry, for being a board member. Shelley is on my board of directors, and Brian is my board chairman. So I had to make sure I do a good job on this call, because I've got all my bosses here. But it's been, you know, really, we changed everything. I mean, literally overnight, our entire website was almost tone deaf about welcoming people to Long Island and all the things to see and do, which is what we communicate globally on a daily basis. And so we had to stop everything. And who would have ever thought people in tourism would be saying, don't come, don't go out, don't visit us. But that's what we did. And we really tackled this in phases. And the first phase we called Hold Fast, which was our, quarantine phase, where we said, please just stay home and let's flatten the curve. And we wanted to help in that effort. And we did pivot to become definitely more of a resource to local businesses and our partners, how they can receive funding, how they can keep their doors open. There are so many, not just employees, but more than 80% of our businesses in tourism are small businesses and B&Bs trying to keep their doors open and their mortgages paid. And it's been heartbreaking, and talking to employees and that we're looking for how to get unemployment or people how to get PPE. So we did that. We delivered masks to hotels that remained open and were essential. And they were, the essential workers had masks, but the hotel workers didn't have masks. You couldn't get them at the time. We did so much initially, almost, I called it like triage, but our Hold Fast. And then we shifted to renewed gratitude, which we're still in that phase. But now that we're open and in phase 4, our current phase, and we continue to change our website. I mean, we redo our website on a weekly basis as everything changes. But right now we're in the travel confidently phase. And that's really our critical message. It's not just about being open. It's really communicating safety. And that's what people want to know is it safe to go out, and I saw some of the questions. What are the hotels doing? What are the businesses doing to make sure I'm safe? So we launched a Be Safe pledge. I recommend everyone please go to our website and take it. And if you take the pledge, it follows CDC guidelines. Once you take the pledge, you get access to free signage, and you can download the signage and put it in your business window. And then people start to see this consistent signage across Long Island, and they know the businesses that are prioritizing safety. And right now we froze all paid advertising. We are not actively saying, come to Long Island right now. We monitor traveler sentiment and resident sentiment on a regular basis. And it's important to know that, as people are seeing things happen in other states, as they see people going out, not wearing masks, we go backwards in people's sentiment about feeling safe. And so it's so important for us to show, even on our website, pictures, and make sure we're showing videos on social media of people practicing, and the businesses, like the airport and the aquarium, that are going just really incredibly above and beyond to showcase and prioritize safety. So we're trying to communicate that. We do have some exciting initiatives to help us recover as we are going through this. The hotels are about 50% right now as to what we were at the same time last year as far as occupancy and revenue. So we're expecting, budgets to be down for a while now. And, but again, we're just glad to be open, and places are busy. If you go to, try to get a room in Montauk, it's not easy. Montauk, Southampton, they are busy. Brian's property can tell you about the weekends and even the weekdays. We're seeing different traveler patterns because people can work from anywhere now. And so there's a lot changing. It's changing on a daily basis, and we're doing our best. We're going to be announcing some exciting new initiatives, both on safety and on, talking to residents, and who is our new #1 customer, as you said, staycations, and talking about how people can take staycations and how we can really educate people about all the things to see and do on Long Island. So we're busy. Sure.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. And, again, that silver lining. So Shelley talking about always knew it was much more convenient, right, to fly through MacArthur Airport, but now even more, it's stressed that those small airports are the way to go, as well as these staycations. And I can't tell you, I've had friends who have said to me, wow, I never realized how much there was to do on Long Island, right? And we've lived here, many of us, all our lives. So there's, I think, absolutely the silver lining. So thank you, Kristen. So Brian, for you, I know you opened, was it last week or maybe the week before? You opened recently, right? The Long Island Aquarium. I mentioned my son was there. He loved it. So talk to us about what that visit, how does that visit look differently right now through this COVID?
Well, it's very different in a lot of respects. But for us, foremost, we're a full-blown resort destination. So aside from the aquarium, we have 2 hotels, right on the property. We have Preston Hotel, which is a boutique hotel with a restaurant. We have the Hyatt, which is 100 rooms, waterfront rooms. And then we have our marina operation, which has 105 slips. And we have our catering operation. So I've seen all different dynamics in that business changing. From the onset, it was a challenge of everybody being closed, with nobody traveling. The aquarium relies on general admission ticket sales to pay our bills. And in those few months, we were in mounting debt because our animal care staff, which is close to 40 employees, taking care of the animals every single day. I had them on A-B schedules and kept them apart. So everybody, thankfully, nobody got sick, and we're in a good place right now. The experience in the aquarium is different in regards, everybody is mandatory to wear masks, only adults, and kids are optional. And plexiglass, the cleaning, we've created a one-way flow through the facility. And we still have our sea lion shows, and now the veterinarians allow the public to feed the stingrays, and next month we're going to start some of our animal interactions. So not that you can pet them or hold them, but you can get up close to penguins and our coatis and some of our creatures. So we're slowly clawing back on the experiential things and the interactive things. But some things you cannot do. We can no longer have snorkel adventure, our shark dive, which was very popular. You can't clean those respirators and so forth. So there's definitely parts of the business. And we're only allowed to operate at a 25% capacity. So, that is now where we're struggling with our mounting debt, because our PPP money is going to run out, and, we're going to need another injection of cash to get us through the mounting debt since, March. So there's challenges on that side. But then the dichotomy is our marina business is through the roof. The kayak business is unbelievable. I mean, we've had tours on our website, guided tours through the estuary on our website for 3 years, and very few people take them. They're sold out every single weekend and from Thursday on. So, people are getting out and going outside and going with their families, and the boating business is very strong also. I mean, I don't think you can buy a boat anywhere on Long Island right now. The sales are just through the roof. Our marina is full. So that dynamic, we have an outdoor grill. So, that side of the business is a little stronger for sure. The hotel, of course, went through, a 10% occupancy, which is frightening. And so now, as Kristen mentioned, our weekday is very strong. We were sold out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. We're sold out. So people are coming out. I know Angie mentioned, Kristen mentioned staycation. We're in a fortunate situation in some regards because with our proximity to the 5 boroughs in New York City, they're coming out and enjoying Long Island. They're coming out and staying here. And in the case of Riverhead and the Hyatt, you can get to either fork very easily, and they're going out to Montauk, they're hitting the vineyards, and they're getting to enjoy all the outdoor experiential type things. And still doing indoor things like the aquarium, but they're getting outside. And it's fortunate for us that we have the city people coming out. And as I talk to guests, I mean, they're really enjoying what the East End has to offer. So that's fortunate for us. And the other flip side now too is our catering business is just, there's not a lot of information coming from the governor's office. So brides are really uncertain. Traveling public now, grandma coming from Florida, all those dynamics are changing. So the catering business is still in a very unstable state of flux, because right now we're only allowed to have 50 people at an event. And so we don't know how that's going to change. So brides are calling from August and September, and we don't really have clarity because it's not coming from the authorities on the clarity. So now you start to see the changes in the room blocks being canceled. We would have 3 or 4 room blocks from a wedding in the aquarium and our ballroom and at a vineyard. And so now those room blocks are all changing. Some are getting pushed off an entire year, and some are trying to push it off a few months. So there's a lot of dynamics there, and some are cancellations, which hurt the pocket as well. So there's a lot of dynamics that are happening throughout the operation here, and with even our outdoor restaurants and with the outdoor dining there. But we're getting through it. We will need some financial support, and we're hoping that Main Street, the lending, and some other programs that come out are going to help us.
Yeah, and Brian, again, doing a great job. I will tell you that organizations like ours, and obviously Discover Long Island and many of our partners, are working very hard to try to get more stimulus money, right? Not only for our members here at the HIA-LI, but a lot of different types of industries, because we know how critical that is, and we know how critical it is to get that money for the counties and the towns as well. So I know we're all fighting the fight, right? So, Kristen, I want to go back to you for a second, because the second piece to a question it looks like that we just got, and it alludes to what Angie spoke about, was the senior population and one of the most vulnerable populations through this. I mean, what have you seen venues do to kind of adapt to, or have you seen venues adapt to seniors? What have you seen happen there?
You know what? Normally, as a hospitality industry, we definitely focus on different niche markets, seniors. We're always, it's our job to be welcoming. That's what we have. That's what we do. And so to make sure that we're welcoming all, people and diversity and ADA requirements. We have some of the most stringent and best ADA requirements of any industry. And it's always important. But right now, honestly, it's just, our businesses are just trying to do their best to make sure that everybody is safe, and implement those mandates of wearing masks, and they're putting signage all over the floors about where to stand in line, and instilling plexiglass. But definitely, and doing the hard thing and encouraging people that are vulnerable and that aren't comfortable or have underlying issues to stay home during this time, and to order takeout, and to make other plans. And it's sometimes difficult to turn away that business when they need it so desperately, but it's the responsible thing to do. We, first and foremost, we want everyone to be safe, and everyone to have a good time. And it's paramount to our moving forward. And just to go back to what you just said, about the budgets and people needing funding, tourism last year generated more than $740 million in local and state tax revenues. So if you think that, we went through a period of being, down 90%, and, now year to date, we're down 50%, that's really, it's not only going to hit our budget, we're funded by hotel motel taxes, which is, scary moving forward. We're all going to feel that as Long Islanders. So it really is important right now to support your local businesses, to keep your tax dollars and staycation dollars local, and get out there. And our hope is that, as we continue to progress safely through this, that we're going to be able to extend our season beyond summer and really focus on, inviting people in the fall and even in the winter, and really boosting our winter season this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Support local. Absolutely. So we have another question. Shelley, it looks like it's for you. It said, I'm going to read it to you. We heard interstate travel may not be allowed soon, but intra-state state travel is just not happening. So talk to us about that. The question alludes also to motor coach companies. Some of them, as you know, are shutting their doors. And Kristen, you can probably talk about this as well, but talk about what that environment you believe looks like right now, the interstate travel versus the intrastate.
I honestly haven't heard that from the governor's office. I don't know, Angie Carpenter, our supervisor, might have heard something. It simply is, the information that we're getting from the governor's office is basically about quarantine states. So, but beyond that, it's nothing more than that.
Okay. So while I have you, I cut you off. I apologize before. You were going to go into, I think, some phenomenal travel tips, which we all need, right, for the summer. So do you want to pick up there? You're going to talk a little bit about travel tips in particular.
Sure. You know, we encourage people to bring their own food if they're traveling through the airport. You might not think that's really important, but a lot of airport concessions, whether you're here at MacArthur Airport or you're traveling to another airport, they're very limited concessions because of staffing, because of the cost of keeping those concessions open. So we encourage people to bring their own food. They obviously should travel with their own hand sanitizers, very small hand sanitizers. The governor's office was very kind and shipped a whole bunch of hand sanitizers here to the airport. So we've been giving them out at no charge, obviously. They were given to us, we're passing it along. And the FAA had provided a whole bunch of face coverings as well. So we're passing those out to travelers. But hand sanitizers, face masks, wipes, your own food, and prepare to really wear your mask the majority of the time that you're either in the airport or on the aircraft is very, very important. And touch as few surfaces as you have to.
Yeah, you know, it's been amazing to me as I even look at, in terms of some of the things that obviously Florida is having as many states, a rough time, even what, you know, how Disney pivoted through this, right, Kristen? I know you and I have talked about before, but their ability to look at a fast pass line that's not a fast pass line anymore and things like that. So I'm going to go back to you for a second, Kristen. You know, talk to us about what you think the future, and this is a tough question, I know, but the future of tourism will look like.
You know, it's really interesting. We had our national tourism conference last week. It was virtual, it was supposed to be in Chicago, and it was a great conference. And again, I talked to my counterparts from across the country on a weekly basis. We're all monitoring each other, helping each other. And there was a great speaker from Europe, and she said, you know, everybody talks about pre-COVID and post-COVID in the tourism industry. And she said, the reality is, and I thought this was so important, that post-COVID was actually the first day that a case was diagnosed. I mean, we've been living in post-COVID since that day. Right. Really what we talk about now is pre-vaccine and post-vaccine. Because until there's a vaccine, you know, this is the uncertain world that we're living in. And I couldn't agree with that more. And you know, everyone's waiting for that news and that change, or we can all feel like we can actually go out again. And until then, you know, we're just going to be doing our best. I think Brian's right. I feel so lucky to be representing this incredible product. Obviously, it's a wonderful product all the time, but compared to a lot of my counterparts, our proximity to New York City and the 5 boroughs, our proximity to, there is intrastate travel happening from New Jersey and Connecticut. We have Philadelphia, which is not on the list yet of of places that can't come here, and they're 3.5 hours. There's Boston. There are so many drive markets that are urban filled that can be our customers, and want a product like ours, which is beaches and small towns and beautiful outdoor parks and recreation. So there's a lot that we have to offer people, and I feel very lucky during this time. And I feel optimistic moving forward that we will get through this. We'll do our best pre-vaccine and post-vaccine. I think, you know, everyone's going to need a vacation after this year. Let's be real.
A big one, a real huge one, right? So Kristen, what are you hearing about the future of hotels? I mean, I'm hearing different things, obviously, but in terms of what that dynamic is going to look like in the future.
It's going to be really, you know, somebody said, you know, people are closing their doors. The Nassau Coliseum closed its doors.
Right.
I mean, things are happening. Things are, you know, there are definitely small museums and cultural facilities that are struggling, theaters, you know, to keep their doors open. Catering halls, you know, it's how we're going to come out of this. I mean, the hotels were deemed essential, and the hotels, you know, again, it's really interesting. Some things will stay changed forever, just like probably all of us, and the Zoom calls and the things that we've gotten used to doing. And some of these things are really good protocols that hotels will be implementing. I went to a hotel the other day, or a couple weeks ago, and one of the things I noticed was, you know, they always say the dirtiest thing in the hotel room is the remote, because everyone touches it, and it was in a plastic bag.
Right.
And it's changed. And so I think you'll see things that will change forever. And and some for the better, you know, for everyone's just cleanliness.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So Supervisor, I'm going to go back to you for a second. You know, based on what Kristen said, things that the town is doing that you believe you're going to keep through this, things that, you know, have really helped the residents, and what are you hearing as well?
You know, the first thing that comes to mind in the very beginning, the washing your hands, how important that is, a simple little thing. And we did a video, believe it or not, on the proper way to wash your hands. You know, don't forget the tops of your hands, your fingernails, etc. But we had probably 2 or 3 weeks prior to the whole COVID, I had been in a senior center, and I had said, you know, we really should have hand sanitizers in our senior centers. You know, flu season, whatever, seniors are vulnerable. So we put an order in for hand sanitizers. And I said, you know, we really should have them in all our public buildings.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you know, COVID comes, and, you know, we were kind of a little bit ahead of the curve with the hand sanitizing station. So certainly that is something that, you know, will be going on in perpetuity. As I was listening to all of the discussions about the impacts on the travel industry and everything, and something you said earlier, Terry, that I think really needs reinforcement, this is an incredible opportunity for travel agents. Because with the advent of the internet and so many people booking their own, you know, travel plans online and bypassing the agents, I think now more than ever, you want to go to a travel agent. Things are changing by the minute. The guidelines coming out from the governor's office, the CDC, et cetera, you just can't keep up with it. So go to a professional so you know what states are on the list, so you know what the protocol is for where you want to travel to, if you should travel there, or have a professional be able to give you other suggestions. So their association, you know, and the HIA, for the members that you have, really, this is a great opportunity for them.
Yeah, we see that as well. Absolutely. You know, people need help. They need to, particularly when we're in isolation, it's important for people to get together and to talk about what they're going through, and certainly what they need in the future. And it really can make things happen. So thank you for that. Absolutely. So Brian, the future of the Long Island Aquarium, what you see happening. And I think more important of a question really is, what do you feel you need right now as a business? Moving forward, obviously.
Well, you know, I think at this juncture, like, yeah, I've always used the term that success is a moving target, and you have to keep realigning and aiming to achieve your success. And right now, the focus and the aim is on consumer confidence. I mean, I think that's what we need to really strategize on, to get the message out there that we are taking every effort, precaution to make this a safe and great experience for you and your family. So that is today's mantra. That's today's effort, is getting the consumer confidence out there so they can feel comfortable coming out, enjoying the experience indoors and outdoors at our facility. You know, the future of our facility, you know, is where our focus is taking care of a precious collection of animals, that thousands of species that we're very concerned about, and our staff treats as their own pets. So where our focus is just that, and it's getting out of this mounting debt. You know, that's where we stand, because those months that we were closed, you know, we weren't paying bills, and now we're negotiating with everybody. So it's the recovery, and you know, working the back end on the expense side and on the cost side of the operation, and we definitely need some funds to get through it. But, you know, I believe we're going to get through it, and we have a great resort destination overall, and you know, we'll be able to help our businesses collectively. But you know, it's time, and it's us really doing all the right things and following the protocols to stay healthy.
Yeah, and you know, we're hearing from our members, right? I mean, I'm laughing about it, but the new phrase is cash is cow, right? You just have to look at what you have right now and say to yourself, how do I really get through that with my expenses until help can come again? So you're doing a great job over there, Brian. Thank you. So I'm gonna actually ask each one of you right before we close for some closing statements. But Shelley, I'm gonna ask you to start and ask you a question first. very specifically as it relates to the airlines, similar to what I asked Kristen in terms of what was happening with hotels. What do you see happening with airlines? First of all, moving forward. And then I'm going to ask you for some closing comments as well.
So I think as we emerge from this, the airline industry is going to look very different. It's going to have a very different footprint. We already have seen strategic alliances between American and JetBlue. We've already heard that Delta Airlines will significantly be reducing their service out of the Port Authority airports. A lot of that has to do with the fact that there was a different strategy that the Port Authority had as opposed to Long Island MacArthur Airport. The Port Authority is having very difficult financial problems. They had no surplus cash. They relied on the cash that they got in from the carriers month to month, while our airport had 6 months worth of operating income saved. So they have taken the position that they will raise the rates to account for those losses, and at a very, very poor time, because obviously the carriers are struggling, even though they did receive financial funding. The good news is that we have some strong carriers here. Frontier has announced in March, and I think we all have to look forward to next year and talk about travel in 2021 in hopes, like Kristen said, the vaccine is here and playing a significant role in our life at that point. So Frontier Airlines announced nonstop service to Las Vegas starting in March of next year. So you can book now and prepare for that. So Frontier also announced a lot of additional service for November and December, and hopefully that will be able to stick, but it is a moving target, and it really is based on what happens with the pandemic. I will say, Brian, there was a couple of weeks, I just wanted to mention this quickly. There was a couple of weeks where I heard every time I turned on the TV, something about the aquarium, what you were doing safety-wise, what you were doing to prepare for reopening, things like that. I think the media market in Long Island has to support Discover Long Island, has to support our local restaurants, has to support our industry as a whole to get people to continue to use their restaurant next door, and support all the other opportunities that Long Island has to offer. And I totally agree with you. This is one of the best places to live. I've lived in a number of different states throughout my life, and I'm so happy that that I have lived in this area while this kind of situation is happening, because it is beautiful, whether it's winter or whether it's summer. And so we're very optimistic. We're very positive about what's to come for 2021. And we're looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thanks, Shelley. Supervisor, your closing comments?
Well, you know, I would just ask that everyone be patient in this new norm. We as a town are doing our best to deliver services, and also when you relate to tourism, we think about the town of Islip, home to a major portion of Fire Island, and I want to take this opportunity to applaud the ferry company there. They have done an incredible job, both the Sayville ferries and the Fire Island ferries out of Bayshore, in enforcing that no mask, no ride. The signs are there up. They have security on the boats, making sure people have their mask on, keep their mask on, and even when they get off the boat over, whether it's Ocean Beach or any of the other communities, people are being reminded to wear their masks in public areas, and that's really very important. The ferry company has made a decision. I've seen it myself. In years past, you'd be on a boat in the height of the summer and people would be standing in the aisles and really crowded. Now, when the seats are filled and people are being respectful of one another, they pull that boat out and another boat comes in, even though there are people waiting to get on. So they really have done a good job. And I'm sure it's eating at their bottom line, that they're not jamming people on the boats, but they're doing the right thing for everyone. So I really want to mention that particular business. Everyone is struggling, but again, I am so optimistic that we're going to come through this better than ever. And Terry for your efforts with the HIA and keeping everyone connected, giving businesses a place to go is so important. And certainly, Kristen, our cheerleader for tourism, and our own Shelley at our wonderful airport, I can't thank you all enough. And having spent many years working out in Riverhead, Brian, I have to tell you, the aquarium is a great place. I've seen it evolve from day one to where it is now, and you've really done a remarkable job out there. It's really quite the destination, really.
Thank you, Supervisor, and thanks for all you do as well. Appreciate it. How about you, Kristen? Closing remarks?
I would just say, please, first of all, thank you, everyone. Please visit discoverlongisland.com on a regular basis. We update the site every day, every time there's a new announcement from the governor. We have specials, we have information for our partners. And we did introduce legislation recently on the state level to allow the tourism industry to self-fund for a dedicated funding mechanism so that we're not reliant on dollars that fund through the county. So please call your state legislator and support funding the Tourism Recovery Improvement District. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kristen. Brian?
I would love to see people come out, enjoy the East End. I mean, that staycation is more than ever prevalent, and come out and enjoy our what we're offering out here. And that's going to help us through our recovery, is people coming out and enjoying the facilities and what the East End has to offer and what we have to offer here at our resort destination. And that'll help us recover and in the coming years and get through this very difficult financial debt that we are struggling in.
And thank you all. I can't tell you, as I listen to all of you, how blessed we've always been to have the four of you, but we're even more blessed now that you're leading us through in this these industries through this COVID. And I agree, we will get out of this stronger together, right? And so thank you again. I'm gonna actually turn it back to Tony Joy just to make a few announcements for us, and I appreciate everybody again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Terry. And again, thank you to all of our panelists this morning for, you guys were all just a wealth of information, and I really appreciate the optimism that I think we heard and we're speaking about. So definitely supporting local businesses and also making sure that we're staying safe as best as we can, wearing the face masks, and continue to keep that positive outlook. I think is really important. So so we're excited and appreciative about that. So coming up, we just wanted to share a couple of other upcoming programs that we have. We will be having on Thursday, August 6th, we have Habits to Foster Peak Performance featuring Coach Dana Calavia, who was the professional performance coach for the New York Yankees. So we're really excited about having him. He'll be talking about just elevating your performance personally, as well as being able to figure out how to work as a team and things like that. So please be sure to join us for that upcoming program. We also do have a new and prospective member information meeting coming up on August 26th. Just really being able to maximize your membership and learning a little bit more about different ways that you can take advantage of the wonderful opportunities you have with your membership with the HIA-LI. And then we're excited for Thursday, September 3rd is our 41st annual golf outing. So we will be having that coming up soon as well. We have two wonderful honorees that we're looking forward to showcasing and honoring, and it's going to just be a great day. We'll have some hopefully wonderful weather and be able to get out in the fresh air and enjoy some golfing. So if you have any other questions, you can certainly feel free to reach out to any of the staff members at the HIA-LI, or please continue to visit our website, HIA-LI-li.org, for upcoming events and programs. So with that, again, I just want to thank everyone for joining us this morning. Thank you to our wonderful panelists, and we look forward to having you all join us at an upcoming program in the near future. And have a wonderful day. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.